Hey guys, how's it going? I've gotten a lot of questions recently on 300 blackout guns, backpack guns, and basically truck guns. I posted a video earlier in the year. It was a pretty crappy video about like a truck gun setup. I didn't get very much response for it from the community and from you guys, so I wanted to make another video about the gun that normally goes in and out of a bag or in and out of my truck whenever I'm going to the office or traveling. It is a 300 blackout. This is kind of a Frankenstein build, but I wanted to walk you guys through like some of the decisions I made on this gun and why they work for me, and maybe give you some things to think about. So let's start with the philosophy of why you'd want a gun like this and why would it be chambered in 300 blackout. I've got plenty of 5.56 guns. They're all great, but they all are designed to do something specific, and I didn't really have a 5.56 gun that was built specifically for home defense. I have a 11.5-inch Geisley that I use primarily for night vision usage, so it's set up in that way. This gun also has the capability for night vision, but that's mostly just for convenience, so I can go do fun stuff on the range with subsonics and night vision. That's always a good time, but it's not like a real application. Again, like this gun, probably if you were to do something like this, you don't need to use a laser aiming module like this that has IR capability. Just save some weight, you don't need it. But this is a 300 blackout. This gun is, it's got a ballistic advantage, 8.5-inch barrel. It's got a 30 caliber can on it. You've probably seen it in one of my other videos, my GPR video. This can, like 90% of the time, actually lives on this rifle. This rifle does not get shot unsuppressed. I don't really see a point in doing that when I have 5.56 guns that are the same length without a suppressor. I'd rather use those. So this gun is built specifically to go in and out of a bag and in like public places to keep concealed, or just like on road trips. I love having this thing in my truck in case I really feel like I needed rifle capability. I have access to it, and it's really short. So let's talk about the parts. This is a 30 cal YHM Resonator K. As I mentioned earlier, this is an 8.5-inch 300 blackout barrel from Ballistic Advantage. Something I tried that was new is this little cheap flashlight. This is the Battle Torch from Tacticon Armament. I know they do a lot of Chinese stuff. I'm not like a fan of buying a lot of Chinese stuff, but from what I've read and the experience of other people that do shoot a lot, their Battle Torch is essentially a ripoff of the old school like Surefire designs. I'm sure it's not quite as robust, but this is not a duty rifle. This thing comes in and out of a bag, and I shoot it like maybe 200 rounds a year. So I don't expect it to have the same level of durability as like, my Geisley, which everything on it is pretty much premium, or even my BCM, which has a lot of mid-grade to high tier parts on it. So this light has actually been pretty great. It reminds me a lot of a Surefire. It comes with a lot more stuff, different mounts. I have it mounted here with a Surefire dual switch, and the dual switch also runs my laser aiming module. This laser aiming module is a Holosun LS321G, I believe. It's got a pretty anemic emitter, but inside of 50 yards, this thing is plenty useful for night vision usage. It's also nice to have a second way to aim the gun. It's got a visible laser on it if I ever wanted to use it for whatever reason. So that's why this is on here. And I mentioned earlier, you don't need that, right? If this is a self-defense gun, a home defense gun, if this is a backpack gun or a truck rifle, you don't need that. I have it on here, like I said earlier, for fun, but also I travel with night vision a lot, and it's really cool to have like a little compact gun that I can go do things in the woods with and shoot with friends, or even go shoot pigs or coyotes on a whim if I'm out in the country. So that's why I have it. This is a Midwest Industries combat rail. They're fine. They're really well priced for what you get. This is a hand stop. I can't remember who makes it. One of you guys in the comments might recognize it. I bought it a while ago, so I can't remember. But it's a great hand stop. This rifle is very compact. I didn't want to have a bunch of stuff up here where my hands are gonna go. And you'll notice that it's got just enough rail estate to be comfortable here. So going back, I'm a huge fan of these Unity mounts. These, you can get them secondhand for a solid deal. I just put a little Holosun 403R on it. It does work for night vision use. It's not the best, but inside 50 yards, man, it does everything I want and more. It's inexpensive, which is kind of the theme on this gun. I wanted rugged, reliable, but not super expensive, because remember, this gun may be in my truck if I am in a spot where I can't carry it around. And so if it gets stolen, really the only item on this thing that I'd be worried about is this suppressor, and I'm willing to live with that. So again, I'm not trying to build the highest end, most reliable rifle possible with this. I'm trying to be reasonable. And some guys might have different philosophies on that, and that is perfectly okay. The upper receiver is an extremely old Armalite upper receiver, I believe. It might even be DPMS, but it is like 20 years old. It was from an upper that I stripped down and I just used for spare parts. The lower is an Aero Precision M4E1 with the little Texas graphic in there cut into it. I'm running Lancer mags. These are PSA's black tip rounds. I don't shoot them very often, but I do not put subsonic rounds in this gun for self-defense. I use full power rounds. It's a rifle, like, use full power rounds. You might as well. Otherwise, you know, get a 9mm PCC or something. I know that's not exactly apples to apples, but if I've got a rifle, I want the full capability of it, i.e. I want full power rounds. I want to hit what I want to hit, and when I do, I want it to have the maximum terminal ballistics possible. In here, it's got an ALG combat trigger, extremely average trigger. It's fine. I would buy something else or just stick with mil-spec. It's not super creepy, I guess, as one would say. It doesn't feel like a Glock trigger, but it's certainly not a Geisley or a LaRue. This trigger is almost as much as a LaRue, so just buy the LaRue if you're gonna get an upgraded trigger. Otherwise, just do like a Teflon coated mil-spec. This is a K2 rubberized grip from Magpul. My buddy sold me this thing for like 12 bucks. He didn't need it anymore. You can find these, I think, new for like 25. Grip's just your preference. It's got a standard mil-spec safety on it. Nothing fancy. I don't like ambi controls, not because there's an issue with them. I just never have seen a value in having them, and I've got pretty big hands. So when I use the safety, I don't like the ambi side of the selector bumping my hand, and it's always bothered me, so I've always stuck with mil-spec. Works for me. If that's not for you, great. Get whatever you prefer. Totally a preference thing on that. Because the ATF and the NFA and the government are all gay, I have a SB tactical brace on this. I would rather just throw a stock on there, but because we've allowed tyranny to creep into our lives because we don't do anything about it and our politicians are soft, we are now subjugated to this kind of bullcrap and overregulation. So I have an SBA3 tactical brace. If you're buying a brace, it's the best one that I found. The SBA5 actually broke on me. I've never had an issue with the SBA3. This is a sling from Grantham's company. I think it's Onward Research. I like it because it's thin, small, and lightweight. It's really not that comfortable though. So if I was gonna be using this gun all the time, I'd probably get a padded sling. And then I have a T-Rex Arms bungee here to hold the sling so it comes in and out of a bag without snag hazard. And I can just yank the sling over and throw it over my neck. I keep the gun in what's called an amber position, which means nothing in the chamber, but I keep a fully loaded mag on it. So if I were to deploy the rifle, pull the rifle out of the bag, sling it up, charge the rifle, and I'm off to the races. So that's the build on the gun. It's nothing super duper fancy. If you're not using the laser aiming module, and let's say you really don't want the riser from Unity, this is not a super expensive build. Like, I think this one's probably around $2,000 because of those two parts in particular. It can make things more expensive. So the reality is I got like a really reliable, useful 300 Blackout for about $1,000. Obviously it doesn't count the suppressor. Suppressors can be cheap or they can be super expensive. That's on you. You need to pick a suppressor that works for you. So purpose of having this gun is having a little extra firepower. There's been so many threats of like mass shootings, especially since the border's been open. I think there's a guy caught in Oklahoma City the other day who's saying that he was going to shoot up a bunch of people with AKs during the election season because he was sympathetic to ISIS. I don't want to be fighting a dude with an AK with my Glock unless I have to. So if I have access to something like this, which gets my range out to about 200 meters, it's just nice to have around. You know, you can't always have it around, but it's a good tool. I'd say probably the most useful thing for this rifle is that it's a really great home defense gun, and it's not going to make me deaf if I have to use it. So anyway, that's kind of my philosophy on 300 Blackout. I might do a video later on about this versus like a 7.62 short AK. Another phenomenal caliber. I love AKs, but this ended up making more sense. I actually sold a while ago my shorter barreled AK pistol because it just kind of sat and collected dust in my safe. So if you guys have any questions about this gun or anything else you want me to present to you, if you value my opinion, I'm happy to share it. So thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. My last video got a lot more views than I expected, and so any feedback is appreciated. Have a great day.